Hi, I'm John Dixon, Vice President of America Sales and Global Marketing here at Silicon Labs. And I'm incredibly lucky to be here with Bart Brinckman, a distinguished engineer from Cisco. So to open it up, maybe tell us a little bit about your role and what you do with Cisco.
I'm a distinguished engineer at Cisco. I work in the wireless team. So we basically build the wireless infrastructure for our enterprise portfolio.
Wow, so the thing that everybody didn't know they have, but they have. If you're in an
The
office
thing that
building,
on every
you have one of your products.
exactly.
So tell me a little bit. You guys are unique. Where you're the leader in this space. You own the ceilings of nearly every building and shop and store and warehouse in the world. What is the evolution of connectivity? Like, how are you seeing things moving? What are the trends?
Well, it's pretty clear now. If you go into an office these days, you're not connecting with a wire anymore. So that we've done. We've kind of replaced all the, let's say, wired stations with wireless. So any office you go into, you're connecting wirelessly now. So we've done a lot of work on, okay, what's the next step here? And the next step is we're looking at the more deterministic use cases. So, connecting wirelessly in kind of industrial settings, in logistics, hubs, in healthcare, and so forth. That's one side of the story. The other side is about, kind of low power, about, sensing, making buildings smarter. So it's really about, the Internet of Things.
Wow. So it's truly, I guess, probably more on the productive side of the Internet of Things, the efficiency, production side of the Internet of Things, and what that's doing for people.
Well, yeah, correct. It's about visibility. It's
Yeah.
about, taking that visibility and, creating actionable insights
Yeah.
and obviously saving money and generating new dollars too. Right?
Yeah, no, that's I completely get it, and it's great. Like that technology, at least for me in the offices, I experience it all the time, and the efficiency of just being wireless everywhere with incredibly fast speeds, and just new features as well. I think is great for the workforce and productivity in general. So then, what does that mean? All of these changes in the kind of evolution of what's happening in the office. What does that mean for like your access points? What makes that different? All of this massive amount of data, and how do you manage it?
Well, I mean, it's not a Wi-Fi access point anymore.
Right. Yes,
It's actually become more of a kind of a platform for wireless connectivity. So obviously, Wi-Fi is still, the main connectivity method, and we've got multiple Wi-Fi radios in our APs. But with IoT coming in, we're now also supporting IoT radios. Like we have Silicon Labs IoT radios in our APs to support that kind of smart workspace or things like asset tracking in logistics, for example. To connect patients in healthcare. So really, those IoT radios, they kind of enable the next generation of smart use cases.
Interesting. I think from I think about my own world and I think about the kind of back to work and the hybrid kind of work situation. I don't know how that impacts other industries, but I'm sure there's a massive changes from industry to industry on what hybrid really looks like. What does that mean for what you've had to do? Has it changed how you guys have approached the market, your products, or?
Well, yeah, obviously, when people, started working from home,
Yeah.
right? We really had to look at, connecting them to, the enterprise applications in a different way, which basically means, more applications available on the internet, and us basically, using, zero trust methodology. So basically assessing, who you are, what device you're on, where you are, to give you, access to enterprise applications. So obviously, if you're, sitting in a coffee shop and you're using your, personal phone, you're going to get, a lower level of access to enterprise applications versus, you coming into the office and, us obviously having the visibility of you being on our network, your access rights will be higher. Yeah. So it's really been kind of a change in kind of access control for us.
It's a big evolution. And it's a big, I guess, it's big shifts that were almost instantaneous. So it's been, I'm sure, a pretty what would have been a pretty stable evolution, I guess, was massively disrupted kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and then coming out of it. But I guess if I think about the behaviors back to work for the people I work with and any of the customers I work with, it's all different and it's still changing. So it's an interesting kind of,
Yeah, I guess, we've all worked from home for a while, right? And
good and bad, yes.
and there's good and bad. And I think, we don't want to go back to the same office anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's like it has to be a better experience. And I think that's what we're seeing now as well, is that, both, employees and employers, want to really kind of get to that next level experience, make their office space, smarter
Yeah.
and more efficient as well, because, you don't need a desk for everybody anymore. So when you come in, you can reserve a space, or you can reserve a meeting room and just, walk there and use it. And the building, senses basically, who's there, who's not there. And when there's no more people in a certain area, HVACs can be turned off, lights can go off. So IoT enables all of that. Obviously, you have to be able to sense and kind of trigger those actuators and so forth.
Yeah, I've been, your offices in San Jose and actually here in Austin are amazing. When you see the real-time office availability and the kind of the data that's coming from what you've implemented. What other use cases for IoT have you seen emerge, and that you see maybe emerging?
So obviously, like, smart workspaces is, big for us, because that goes across our entire customer base.
Yeah.
Right. But there's a lot of very vertical specific use cases as well. So if you're looking at healthcare, for example, now, we've seen an enormous burden, with COVID on, the hospital staff, doctors, nurses. And what's happening now is that all of those kind of patient monitoring experiences are being automated. So where we used to have a nurse that would come, check your pulse and your oxygenation, for example, now you get a wearable. The wearable connects directly to your access point, and the nurse gets your real-time data in at the nurse's station, right? Same with, logistics, for example, asset tracking, one of the biggest kind of use cases, all happens on the IoT radios that, you put in our APs. So same thing with, hospitality experiences, like, you open your room key with your,
Yeah. Actually, that's a great example.
Yeah. So retail as well, electronic shelf labels, that, change the price within,
All that data is coming up to your
all that
access
data
points.
is
Yeah, of
coming
course.
up through our access points. Yes.
It's interesting. Were you there? We at Workswith at the NVIDIA keynotes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the whole concept of just having your body double, your virtual kind of human that checks all of your information. And I guess all of the things you've talked about in medical or at home is all of this data just being pulled up so you can do analytics, do generative kind of future processing, and try to help people even better on their behaviors and patterns of what they're doing. So that's really,
Yeah, we see this happening, and I think what's really amazing with that is that you're basically creating a completely, different experience, because you can monitor people, or you can, like, in a hospital, you can monitor your patients in real time and like predict, if they're going to have an issue, which is, something that we couldn't think
you're
of.
capturing, you got the pipe data that's coming in. So then what do you see the kind of evolution, like what's next? What do you see as the kind of trends, the things that are gonna disrupt? Like what do you see next for all of this, the access points, the data? Because again, it's like I can see one right there.
Well, I mean, I think, what we're seeing now is that, IoT is finally coming to fruition. We're seeing the growth, right? And, you mentioned NVIDIA and the keynote. I think the next thing is AI, and it's AI at the edge. So definitely, our vision there is also that, we have, we're kind of delivering the edge platforms here, and we really want to kind of like help, process that information and kind of deliver it.
Tie it back into other systems, we make
Exactly.
connections.
Yeah.
So Bart, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us.
Very much.
Thank you very much for taking the time, and we'll see you next time.